let's get to where we also come together, and that's the other challenge that you mentioned is packaging. What kind of
Mhm.
options did you look at when it came to packaging?
Yeah, so we looked at a ton of different options, and I would say my idealism was a little bit broke after the process because I realized there really isn't a great option that does it all right now on the market because we are looking for this intersection of packaging that obviously is sustainable. So I initially we were trying to stay away from plastic because we know that most of it cannot be recycled and isn't recycled in the States. But then at the same time, we are dealing with the fact that we are making a product that is shelf stable. So grocery stores will only carry us if we have 12 months shelf stability. And packaging very much helps with that. And so a lot of the more sustainable options, like compostable packaging that we looked at, they wasn't able to deliver on preserving the product for 12 months. It would only get us to 6 months or 8 months, which just isn't enough right now at this stage. And then some of the compostable options that we were looking at, were only industrially compostable. And one of the big issues there is that a lot of times compostable packaging actually can require more resources to be produced. And if you don't dispose of it correctly, if you don't bring it to an industrial composting facility, it will end in a landfill. And so now it's, creating a dual problem. Not only did it require more resources to be produced, but also it ends in the landfill. So it totally defeats
Mm,
the purpose. And you may ask, why is it landing in a landfill? Well, because industrial composting facilities are not a thing. Like people don't know where they are. This means you cannot just drop it off at the farmer's market or putting it in your backyard or compost it in your, apartment composting system. You'd have to bring it to a facility. And that is just not something that's accessible to most consumers. And so
mm,
it needs to be easy to recycle or compost your packaging. And if it's not easy, people aren't going to do it. And you know what? I don't blame them for it because I think there needs to be more infrastructure to make it kind of second nature. And so we kind of ran into a roadblock and we ended up having to go with a form of plastic packaging. Some communities will recycle it. There are some really great partners here in the States. One of
mm,
them, TerraCycle, who actually recycles the type of plastic that we are using and upcycles it. So at least it doesn't go into a landfill, and at
mm,
least we're, closing the loop on that. But obviously, again, not most consumers will not be doing that because they might not have access to those drop-off locations. So we felt very frustrated about the packaging
mm,
options. And, while it helps us to achieve 12 months shelf stability, it's not the most sustainable option, in our opinion, that could be out there. And
yeah.
so we actively started thinking about how can we at least offset some of that pollution, like I mentioned before, that we are creating inevitably and putting into the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched a lot of good points there. It's packaging is there for a reason, right? It needs to protect the product. It needs to protect the consumer in a certain way also.
Hmm.
Also, it helps to reduce food waste in the end because the longer shelf stability means
Right.
that you have a longer time span to also use it. And yeah, the compostable thing is, I mean, there is progress in the market, but I think the market is definitely not there yet, at least not anything that I've seen so far. And the other option
Hmm.
of kind of biological based polymers or plastics, in many cases, I don't want to say in all cases, but again, not at the size where the whole market can be fed with it. Um,
Right.
Comes from monocultures, comes from GMO style farming, and then we're back at the point that we discussed
Mhm.
earlier that we also need to make sure that agriculture is yeah, going in the right way, and it's not the solution
Hmm.
to cut more trees to build the plants that can deliver packaging solutions. So yeah, it is. It really feels like one is stuck in a dead end in the end, and then it's
Hmm.
really about how can we best uh, handle the phase that we're in, right?